Wait a minute. Looks like we got a problem. Okay. We're now live on Facebook, so I'm going to play the intro and let people come in and also share it around a little bit. I tagged you both on it. Everybody, got a first show of the day with some dear friends that I met in January, Jamie and Jayson Layton. So let me pull them up here. Another Divine Conscious Union that's got a pretty good story. I already know some of it. Let's see. Uh-oh. The video's not working.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I can hear you. I just made you a co-host just to see if that'll fix the problem. It might be that your video is on
Oh, we're good. We're good.
Hello.
What's happening?
What's up?
How are you?
Pretty good. Y'all look lovely today.
Why, thank you very much.
God. You look like Barbie and Ken dolls, man.
It's her beauty radiating onto me.
Thank
So
you.
Well, I know that. I just didn't want to say it. So thanks for good. Again, I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit flat today. I don't know what the hell's going on. Okay, I keep waking up and I feel like I've been working out with weights or something. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I guess we're busy in our dream state. I don't really
Very
know.
extremely busy. Yeah.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
Definitely. I'd say the last 3 weeks it's been kind of going on, and there's been a lot of heaviness in the physicality of our reality.
Well, it's definitely ramping up. Something's ramping up. And,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there's two primary things that are being talked about, and I did a show yesterday, and I'm like, nah, we're not talking about this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
One of these things. I mean, it's like, I don't know. To me, anything that takes us off our own self-awareness, you know, is basically defeating the purpose, whether it looks like it's full of light or full of negative. It doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
It's so true.
Yeah. You know, we need to be aware of what's out there, but remain in your state of calm and presence and being aware.
Yeah.
That's important.
Spoken like a true divine feminine. We'll just do a mic drop. So you guys, most people that I have on the show, really pretty much all of them, 1,800 shows, I never talked to them beforehand. Of course, we had Jayson on here before.
Yeah.
And I met y'all in January at the Conscious Conference, Waves of Light Conscious Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And
very fun.
I think I enjoyed the whole thing. I think my most favorite time was the last night. That was fun.
I know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we waited too long to get together.
Right? Why don't we do this more often? But
They always
that's
say save the best for last.
exactly
Yeah.
right. That's what I told Morgan last night. She said, I always wanted to date a tall man. And I said, well, you finally got there after almost 50 years.
Yeah, you're definitely tall.
How is
Yeah.
Morgan? Good?
She's good. Yeah. Yeah. She's real good. We've just been hanging out together when I'm not on the shows and, just doing what we do. And she's putting them all together. And then I have to come sit in the hot seat.
Where are you guys now?
We're not far from where we were. We went from God, I can't remember anything. we went from there from Sarasota down 10 miles south and hung out at Nokomis Beach for a week, and then we went to a gathering and ended up in a mobile home park for 3 nights, and then stayed somewhere for a couple of days, and then I don't know, but right now we're in St. Pete Beach.
Very nice.
Well, I know your story, so I'm a little bit off my game, but the way y'all met, you got to talk about the way y'all met, because it's
All right.
like, yeah.
So I will say some things, but Jamie's the fine detail person. So I'm like, she's like, you missed half the story with your details. I'm like, we got here and here and we met. It was fantastic. But I went to a fireman dance when I was 14. They had like these dances around town. So the school would have dances and then the firehouse would have dances.
Mhm.
And I went to one of the firehouse dances and we're having a good time. I look across the way and there she is. And it was just like, instantly, I was just like head over heels, like, oh my God, look at that girl. My buddy's like, hey, I know her. I'm like, there's no way you know, like, I never seen her before. How do you know her? He's like, oh, I met her through a friend. I'll get you to talk to her. And I was like, whatever. Well, then a few days.
Didn't even talk to me.
Yeah,
I didn't even know he was there.
No, I had zero. Like, I was like, I'm just going to stare from back here. And just, she was way out of my league, and I dated quite a few girls before seeing Jamie. And I was just like, wow. And then
so a few weeks later, I'm visiting my cousin who lives like across the street from Jay. And she's like, oh my gosh, Jay has a huge crush on you. I'm like, who is Jay? Who are you talking about? Like, so all these kids are literally pushing me up to his doorstep and they're like, go ask him to come out, go ask him to hang out. And I knock on the door and his mom answers and gives me this big hug and kiss. She's my bus driver. I was like, she's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, are you Jay's mom? And she's like, yes. I'm like, can he come out? And like, that was it. That was it.
Yeah. And then we dated for like 3 months and like I was just like head over heels and it just didn't work out. We went our separate ways. Jamie wanted to get into a relationship where she had 2 other children. Mm-hmm. which is perfect because those children needed the biology.
Well, he dated my cousin for many years. That's how he stayed in the picture. So there's more to the story.
So the whole time we were still in each other's lives, but at a distance. And I was always still like, just once she had her first child, I was like, oh man, like it's not going to happen. And that's just the way that it is. And then things just happened to unfold later on in life and we were able to get back together and it was fantastic.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be, and we're a great team. I mean, everything we do, we're always on the same page. It's awesome. It's very awesome. Somebody.
I forget this. I don't know if I asked y'all that night, but so who in the finality of it, who busted the move, the final move?
Her.
She did.
Well.
Yeah, you definitely did.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with that.
So we started hanging out. We were working out. We were doing yoga together.
We both, like, he was already on a spiritual journey and I was just starting a spiritual journey. And at the time we were friends and I had 2 children and I really needed somebody to speak to on a spiritual level. So we became very, very, very good friends for a while before we ever entered into a relationship. But I guess he'll say I made.
And then I have my friend Joyce Lin. She's a psychic reader. And I'm like, she's phenomenal. She's in Red Bank, New Jersey. She's really, really good. So she says, I go, let's go see Joyce Lin. I want you to meet Joyce Lin.
I wanted to see a psychic and he had a friend. So
she went there and Joyce Lin's like, do you know that Jay's in love with you? But Joyce Lin didn't know. I didn't say nothing to Joyce Lin. Like, we only speak on spiritual terms. So like when I would go and see her, it'd just be straight business. It was never like my personal life stuff. And then Jamie's like getting all blushing.
Yeah, like, because we didn't talk about that stuff yet with our friendship. We were very, good friends. And she would come on saying he loves you, and I'm like, yeah, I know. No, let's stop talking about that, because she was also recording it, and I knew he was going to listen to it. So I really didn't want to have that conversation yet, but it made it come to the forefront.
Yeah.
We had to have that conversation.
It happened. Yeah. Man.
So how many years passed between 14 years old and when that happened?
I think I was like 23, 24.
About 11.
So I was 13 when we split up. When we first started dating many years ago, I was 13. He was 14.
I guess I was 24 when we got together.
Yeah, something like that.
It's
I don't
about
know.
10 years.
Yeah,
about 10
like
years.
That. Yeah, about 10 years.
And when you guys were being best friends doing yoga, Jay, were you still like, was your Kundalini still like lighting up?
Of course.
Yeah, I can totally tell.
It never stopped lighting up. Even when I was dating her cousin, and she would come over for parties, I always had this inner knowing, this inner attraction to her. Like, I mean, obviously she's physically beautiful, but her spirit is just amazing. And I always felt like this pull towards her. I mean, just always felt it.
Yeah.
So
and an interesting conversation when he was dating my cousin. One night we were hanging out, and I'm very, very close to her. We have no qualms towards each other or anything like that. Nothing like that happened in our relationship. But I remember saying to her, because we were starting a really nice friendship on a spiritual level, and I remember saying to her, like, if we never split up all those years ago, I think we'd still be together. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I stepped out of line by saying that, that's your boyfriend. And you know what? She agreed with me. She's like, yeah, I think you guys still would be together, honestly. You have a lot in common. You're very compatible.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
It's fate. It's definitely fate. Like, honestly, like, when I seen her, like, I swear I knew, like, she was the one.
Yeah, he says that. He says that he knew he was going to marry me.
Yeah,
when
like we went to the park. We were dating for 3 months. We went to the park one time. I'm like, I'm going to marry you. And I never said that to anybody. And
14 years old?
14 years old. I started dating when I was like 11. I don't know why, but I started very young dating
You're
girls.
a gangster, man.
I don't know why. I mean, I just had a lot of friends who had friends, and we just started dating. And I mean, by the time I got Jamie, I actually had a relationship for 8 months before I met, Jamie. So
you were a seasoned veteran at 14.
Yeah.
Not me. I was new.
I was very advanced, and Jamie was very hold up, slow down.
Yeah.
But
wow,
it worked out so well.
Yeah,
It really did.
we're
Life
very
is so
happy.
beautiful. I'm so glad that we split up and she was able to have Robert and Alex.
Yeah.
Because they needed, the biology of both parents to come together to create who they are. So it worked out so well.
Yeah.
So y'all had the two of them. I mean, you had the two of them when you started, and then y'all had one, right?
Yeah, we have
a son.
Elijah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so how old are these three kids now?
Our oldest is 22.
Mhm.
And then Alex is going to be 19, and Elijah just turned 13, right? 13?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so Jayson, you were
14.
already.
No, he just turned 14, I believe. Okay.
I thought she had all the details down, man.
She does. Better than I got them.
Yeah.
No, I usually let him tell the story. I'm like, no, let me tell it over.
Yeah.
I know. I get that one all the time. That's one of the hazards of being public like this. I always.
Yeah.
Then after the show's over, she goes, "Why didn't you say this or why didn't you say that?" Don't you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't remember these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said that so this would have been like in your early 20s, and Jayson was already on the spiritual path, or
Yes.
Yeah.
Seeking, and then you started, and I mean, so I guess you guys kind of experienced that together. I mean, did you do a lot of spiritual work together, or
Yes.
Yeah,
After.
Yeah, well, he was already on a path for many years. I was always aware of stuff, but I didn't know who to talk to about it, and I didn't even know he was available for that until like we started talking and he would say certain things. So yeah, but he was already on a path, and once we got together, we really grew tremendously.
Yeah.
Mm. When did you guys start hearing about, what people talk about ascension, and like a mass awakening and all that?
Young. I was very young, because my mom, she was part of a group called the Masters Octave. It was a place where people would go and gather. It was a gentleman's house by the name of Ted Miller. And he opened up his house, and he'd have 30 to 40 people come every week, and they were kind of like pass around messages psychically. And then it weaned down to 24 and then 12. And it was like a core 12 and one channeler for a long time. And my mom would always come home and say, hey, I went to Ted's, and there was a bar called Ted's around the corner. I'm like, you going to Ted's bar? She's like, no, Ted's, it's a psychic thing. And she would always drop these little seeds to me about information about, psychic abilities and spirituality. And I was a kid, and I was like, whatever, that's cool. And then 17, she gave me a book by Dick Suffin, a little book with a bunch of little stories in it. And it absolutely blew my mind. And from that day, it was like, I didn't stop. So I just dove deeper and deeper and deeper. And then I became very good friends with Ted. And I was with Ted every day for 10 years. And he was kind of like my mentor and guided me to show me what to read. And then I got into channeling. So I became the head channeler of the group for
So you were channeling
5 years. Yeah. So for 5 years I was channeling. I first started off channeling because what I was used to was Ascendant Masters, Helios and Vesta. So I was used to that. And then once I started channeling, I kind of went that route. And then I'm like, wait a second. Then I started understanding I am. So then I just started channeling I am, because everything is I am. Everything states I am. So when someone would say, oh, that was a fantastic message, who was that from? I'd say it was from I am, because I am is all that is. So that's where my main channelings came from. And that's where my first book, I Am Understanding Who and What You Are, came from, was my first year of channelings. So, yeah.
And so Jamie, what was it like the first time you heard him channel? Were you freaked out?
No, not at all. I knew he could do it all along. I mean, I think that most of our conversations, we both were channeling.
Yeah.
I've even channeled in those meetings as well. Not as frequent, very, when I felt I needed to say what needed to come through, but I never was freaked out. No.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has a channeling ability. It's really just getting into the state of where your thoughts are kind of settling down, and just the best way to do it is have an idea of what you want to go into, like what you want to talk about, and kind of think about that idea, and just kind of go into a state and just think about that idea. And all of a sudden you start getting thoughts that come in. And then once the thoughts start rolling in, it's like a pour of information starts flowing through you, flowing through you, and flowing. So I think every one of us has that ability.
Yeah, some people call it a download.
Yeah, exactly. And I like what you said, Jamie. I think a lot of times, even when we're just having conversations, we're channeling. Like if there's a connection, or similar frequencies, I think we do that, So you guys, this goes back, 10 years. Well, I'm talking about once you, like, your youngest child's 13. So you're talking about 2007, 2008. So as 2012 approached, I mean, were there like thresholds that you experienced in your relationship as this energy is expanding collectively? I mean, did you ever like hit certain points where you just like elevated and expanded together?
Yes.
Yes.
I can't pinpoint exactly the dates or anything like that, but I know our relationship has evolved, so much. We're more than just, husband and wife.
Yeah.
We are like, we're divinely woven together, I think.
It's a growth process, and it's all about timing and kind of coming to, really understand each other's energies and blending those energies, especially in the beginning. And I think, there's definitely time. So I think I think collectively, like, we feel collectively the shifts that are happening. And it's kind of like, those are times where we really step into action. It's like, what can we do to really help out humanity right now, to really help this shift happen? Because I feel Jamie and I are here at this point in time to really assist in the shift that's taking place now. So I know my previous lives, and I've had experiences in my previous lives through going into meditation and going into states of hypnosis and tapping into that information. And we were all building for this time. A lot of the light workers, we were working together for so long for this time that we're in right now. Like I say that this is the greatest time to be alive. It really is, because there's so much stuff that's out of balance that needs to be balanced. And that gives us the opportunity to step up and do the work. But there's a lot of inactivity in a lot of people. A lot of people have inactivity. They have great ideas, but they just don't want to, really put the effort into it. And it's really just stepping into your power and really putting your head down and going through it, because we all
Yeah.
have so much to offer right now. Every one
Yeah.
of us has so much to offer.
I agree with that. Better to move forward and learn from your mistakes if that's what they are,
Yeah,
than to sit there and static and do nothing.
right.
So like, I mean, you said you're here to assist humanity. I mean, like how do you guys do that together? I mean, do you have go-to methods, or you just kind of create it as you go, as you feel it?
I think a little bit of create it as you go. I think Jay has methods. Jay's more of the method guy. He'll help with meditating, and I'm more of like counsel, I guess, in a sense. People come to me and they open up to me, and I can kind of guide them through that. But Jay really has, with his hypnotherapy, has helped me, or your meditations have helped me really get through some tough experiences. So I help people like that, guide them in that direction.
We created the course, The Soul's Dream, and that has been my life's research from ages 17 to last year. All the information that I've gathered through my meditation, my dreams, my research, I put into The Soul's Dream. And Jamie was there with me 100%, because when it first came to shooting, I had a problem getting in front of a camera and talking, because I'm like, I feel there's no emotion when you're talking to a camera. I know that there's gonna be somebody watching it on the other end, but it's really hard to convey information to a camera. I felt a block there.
It was like very robotic and no emotion. So it's hard to listen to somebody who's very monotone trying to tell you something.
Right. So she would actually come in that whole entire series, and she sat right behind the camera, and I was really talking to her, like sharing the ideas with her. And then if I'd be like, she'd be like, all right, stop, get rid of the we can't have the here. Too many Or she was my rock through the whole entire thing. She was director of the whole thing. Yeah. But that was my first time going on camera and really, sharing something like that, where I've done it in groups before, which is very easy. It's very easy to do in a presentation, but to do it in front of a camera and kind of have all these things line up, it was my first time, and it came out extremely well. I mean, we're having great success with it. People are signing up every day. It's free. It's called thesoulsdream.com. When I first started creating it, I'm like, I'm going to charge this much for it. And then once I got done with it, I'm like, you know what? There's certain people out there who can't afford to pay for this. So I'm just going to release it to humanity, because I really feel right now the most important thing for all of us is to expand the collective consciousness, so that we can all reach a critical mass to shift that has to take place. So I offered it to everyone for free. thesoulsdream.com. You can take it and listen to it, enjoy it, hit me up and ask me questions.
Yeah, let's have some conversations.
Yeah, let's have some conversations. It's all about growing. It's all about growing.
Well, that's the second mic drop. No, well, I love what you said, because look, we don't really have the directions or the owner's manual for how we do this.
Yeah.
But I really believe, I mean, look, it's not rocket science.
No.
To know, at least have an idea of where we are going, or what should be in, say, an equilibrium, or an equality kind of frequency,
right?
Equal exchanges and stuff like that. So I applaud the hell out of you for saying, hey, I'm just going to offer this free.
Yeah.
And knowing that the universal energy is going to reciprocate. It just may not be in what we consider typical terms, but you're obviously both shining like the sun, like two suns. That's cool. Do you guys ever do like anything together, like rituals or meditation or anything like that? You have a practice?
Yeah. Well, we do.
Well, we do moon ritual together every month. And we actually do it with a few of our close friends as well on the computer.
We're going to be opening up to the public soon too. So anybody who wants to hop on, we'll have the link on the mastersauthor.org, and they can just hop in and join along. And it's fantastic. It's really good for bringing stuff into your life and then releasing stuff out of your life.
And using natural, the nature, using our celestial bodies that are real, working above us all the time, using what we have, being grateful.
Yeah, I'm all about practical information. I love information. I love knowledge. But if you can't use it, that's all it is. It's just
That's
knowledge.
right.
I want wisdom. How can we turn the knowledge into wisdom? And my understanding of the stars, I put it all into the soul stream, and I break it down. When it comes to the cycles, the reason why we don't know where we're headed is because we don't know our history. Our history is kind of erased, and I explained that on the soul stream. But once we understand, where we come from, we understand where we're headed and the cycles that we're moving into. It's not that hard to understand. And once you understand what the stars actually are, they are emitting vibrational frequencies into our reality. You can see the light, and you can hear the sound with NASA's technology, but our bodies can receive that information. Just because we can't hear it audible doesn't mean it's not there. There's information coming in.
Yeah, it's like those dog whistles.
Right.
The dogs can hear, but although I think there are a lot more people are hearing stuff in their ears today. I know it's been ramping up for me for the last.
I know.
You mentioned the last few weeks, and something's definitely coming through. And you're right, it's all code and information. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've been seeing things.
Yeah. Have you really?
What's so funny? A few weeks ago, I think you posted a video of like a fairy in a little girl's room with a key and knocking something down. And that night, I went outside. It was like I wanted to go moonbathe a little bit and just have some sacred time to myself. And I kept on seeing this like invisible flutter, like just going past my face. And I'm like, okay, that didn't happen. I always see stuff and I'm like, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. I've had so many weird experiences, but I've been seeing so much of that lately.
Yeah. I've been seeing stuff. Some of it I can tell what it is, and some of them a lot of it I can't tell. And like the last 2-3 days, I keep seeing stuff, and I'm like, I know I didn't. You have it's happened so many times. It's not. You're not.
I know that's the thing. One time, I was sleeping in this room, as a matter of fact, and I was up late, and I just, laid down on the. We had a bed in here. I just laid on the bed and wound up dozing. But before I dozed, I seen right out here this burst of blue in the sky. And I was so tired. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm just going to watch it. If that happens again, then I know it definitely happened. And it happened again. It was like, it looked like a point and it would just bursted out. And there was no noise. It was just this blue flash.
Wow.
It was insane. So I was like, okay, I definitely see stuff. I can tell you, swear, oh my gosh.
Man, you guys are awesome. So now whenever you do any work together, do you ever have like mutual, like things like that, like mutual experiences with apparition, or even dimensionally or interdimensionally, or even telepathically?
I don't know about that, but we do think the same thought sometimes.
Yeah.
Like he'll say something like, I was just thinking the same, and it has nothing to do with what we were just talking about or what was going on. It was just like an instant like telepathic connection. I was going to say the same thing, but he said it before, or vice versa. Even if we're miles and miles away from each other, he'll call me and say, hey, guess what? And then say exactly, I had this thought today. I'm like, I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Do you ever have times when you're not in alignment together?
Yes.
Like, I mean, we're all of us get out of alignment individually, but I mean, like, I think that's one of the things that people think that these relationships, I mean, yours is like out of a fairy tale. This 14-year-old thing at the fireman's dance and all that. but they don't realize that it takes work.
It takes work. That's the thing. Are you willing to put in the work?
So what it really came down to, honestly, for me,
don't blame me.
No, it was for me to understand the moon cycle.
Well, he means my menstrual cycle.
Because the menstrual cycle is based on the moon cycle. So when you understand the moon cycle, because women are very receptive to energy. They're very receptive to energy, and they're very sensitive to energy. So when Jamie would go into different cycles throughout the month,
different phases,
right? That's all it is a cycle of energy. She's more receptive. So her physical body, her mind would be, she'd express and experience different energies at those times. And for me, I'd be like, in the beginning, I'm like, what are you like? Why are you even thinking like that? What are you doing? Like, I'd be like going, instead of being there and compassionate for her and showing her compassion and love at that time, because it's not, the energy is so high that it's hard to overcome that. It's like when you're in a panic attack, you can't think your way out of a panic attack. You have to let it take its role. So when you're in a heightened state of emotion, you can't think your way out of a heightened state of emotion. You have to let it take its time through it.
Yeah.
So once I understood and was conscious of the moon cycle that Jamie has, we both would write it down and we'd share it. She'd be like, all right, this is happening this time. So we shared the whole entire month of what's happening. It wasn't until then that everything started working out amazing for us.
Yeah, because I was even becoming aware. I mean, us women, we're not taught what a menstrual cycle really is and how to handle those. Our bodies are built to be vessels to carry life. So of course we're going to absorb energy and hold it within our vessel and within our womb. And, you know, if we're not taught how to deal with it or to recognize it, then how on earth can we handle it? So we have these explosions every month. So with him being very, you know, in tuned and saying, you know, it's very specific times, very often in a pattern with you. So let's see if it has something to do with, you know, your time of the month. And it did. I started to see when I was ovulating, I was really happy, or even like the moment I started to get my period, I started to get really happy. But the weeks leading up, the 2 weeks leading up, it was torture. I'm in pain. I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to talk. I just leave me alone. And who wants to deal with like Jekyll and Hyde, you know, and not understand it. So now that we understand, I'm more aware when I become like that, and I can open myself up or give myself space. And he's more aware and lets me have that space to do that.
And that cut down to 95% of our
okay, so a pivotal moment of involvement was right there.
Yeah, that was huge for us. We really
at a human level, that's where they happen the most, isn't it?
And so because of that, it's a very symbolic point where we evolved in our relationship. So we do give homage and love to the moon and release and receive, because we see how it happens physically with me. Yeah. So I'll honor that.
Yeah. So when it comes to the planetary bodies, or the sun and the moon are the closest in relation that really affect us in the physical world. I mean, all the other planets have a relationship with us, but it's really the sun and the moon that are our
daily,
strongest
very strong
influencers in our lives. So it's kind of like there's a bunch of energy there that we can tap into to use to manifest in our worlds. I mean, we're still using the sun today. Everybody uses the sun today. When you say, "Hey, I'll meet you at 12 o'clock out here," or we're going to meet it at 2 o'clock today, we're talking about the sun's positioning. When you look at the days of the weeks are all based on the 7 planets that are closest to us. The months are all based on the moon cycle. So our whole entire scheduling system is still based on the stars, but we think about it as, you know, it's just another day, but it's really based on the stars positioning. And there's energy that we could utilize there that we can tap in to amplify our experiences, to amplify our dreams and our aspirations. I mean, nature is the true goddess of our reality, right? So, I mean, you have, it's balance. There's so much balance inside of nature. And that's what you want to understand. That's what it's all about in our lives. We want to find balance. We want to find the middle road, right? Meditation is middle. It's not about per se laying down and going into an altered state. It's really about walking around and being able to be centered. We're able to respond to life. We're not reacting, because reacting is the old programming that's inside of us that we have learned and we're conditioned through. But to be able to respond to what's happening means you're conscious and you're walking around in the middle state. You're walking around balanced. Yeah. And that's the natural state of nature that we can tap into and use that to amplify our existence.
Yeah. Flow with it instead of resist it.
Yeah.
Be ignorant of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So of course, there's a lot of emphasis on inner work, you know, on this journey for everybody.
Oh yeah.
And then again, you know, these couples seem to, well, they're really just, you know, an expanded version of a single energy, I guess. Or like you said, you two are like meshed together. So there's like, you're you and she's her, but there's also us.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you're like, there's like 3 operating systems, but they're all the same operating system. But I guess what I'm saying is, so like this thing with being aware and working with and utilizing like you said, to expand things, the moon energies or what have you, was a big threshold that you crossed. But in terms of like inner work or shadow work, uh, has that been or is that a part of the relationship, whether it be individually or together or both?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone through spells of depression, and have, you know, held on to things and things that, like, so when I was so little, I had no control of, and you know, it really planted seeds in my subconscious to have me act certain ways and make me feel certain ways. And so together, Jay has helped me with putting me into a nice trance and letting me be face to face with that reality and let it go, like release. Yeah, so shadow work, working together, yes, that's one way. But just being conscious of yourself and putting love into your conscious self, being aware of that and sharing that with yourself. I mean, that's great to do when you are facing any shadows.
Yeah.
So being there for yourself. So yes, individually and together.
I find with working with my clients, it's all about really what we call shadow work. It's really all the internal stuff that's happening inside of us that we have to release, because from the time that we're born to the time we're 6 years old, we're in this state of alpha and theta. We're very programmable. We absorb so much information at that time. We can learn 6 languages very easily at that time. You try to learn another language now at the age of 40, it's like, oh man, this is a task. But when from the age of 2 to 6, you're very absorbing information, programming. So we have all this stuff that happens in our lives, and some of it is traumatic. And those traumas, they go inside of us. And what it is, it's an emotional trauma. But then that trauma can seed itself into our physical being and create pains inside of us and create sicknesses and stuff
and
like
fears,
that, and fears and anxieties and all this stuff that can happen. And once I go in there and I help people see where that's coming from, because when you talk to the subconscious mind or your higher self knows everything. It records everything. The conscious mind is only 5% of our day. So when we talk about the 95% of accessing what's really happening to you, it's like you just spill the beans of what it is that's holding you back. And then we can work on what it is that is holding you back. And it only takes, an hour? I mean, the situation you were having, maybe 2 sessions.
Yeah.
But really the shadow work is really you going internal and removing those old programs that are holding you back from really being able to move forward. I mean, and the problem is we don't even remember those things happening to us because they're so far buried inside of our subconscious. I mean, it's incredible when you see like people who have physical ailments. I mean, straight up physical ailments that need healing.
Yeah, the memories they go back to.
You go back to the memories of what it is that's causing them, and you remove the emotional attachment to that. You release that emotional trauma. The physical ailment goes away. It's incredible. It's absolutely amazing, because what we're understanding now is we are energetic beings. We're not physical beings per se, right? We have this physical identity, but it's not a Newtonian reality. We're moving into this quantum physics where it's about waves of possibilities and understanding that we are energy and that emotional is energy, and we have to be able to release. If we're not releasing, it's then going internal and locking us in. And that's where the shadow work idea is coming from, because it's really going in. It's all about you and your perception of out here. This out here is nothing without you giving it meaning.
Yeah.
So it's all about where you're giving life meaning to, where you're putting your energy to create what you want to create.
Where your attention goes, energy flows.
Yeah. So, and the funny thing is about this is like people don't like negative things, but 90% of people talk about negativity all day long, right? They'll talk about what's going on in the news, the negative side of it. They'll talk about, all this negative stuff in their lives. And the problem is we become what we think about.
Yeah.
And where we put our attention is what we draw into our experience. So if we keep on focusing on the negative side of things, what are we drawing into our experience? Yeah. And that's why there's this big push on the news right now. And everybody's saying, this thing's getting blown out of proportion, not because of the thing itself, but because of the press that's being put on it.
Yeah.
And people are being so heightened in the state of their minds.
Everybody's in fear right now.
Because of the constant boom, 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 boom. And what that is, it's called hypnotic rhythm. When you continuously do something over and over and over again, it's called hypnotic rhythm. And then that seeps into your subconscious mind, and then your body reacts like
Yeah,
that.
it's not, you know, it's not rocket science, is it? Right?
It's not. It's not at all.
There's
It's,
the interesting story. In Nazi Germany, I don't remember the guy's name, but he was the he was the whatever they were called. Well, the Nazis, Hitler's propaganda guy.
Mhm.
And the old famous quote from either one or the other was, "If you lie to people enough, they'll start to believe it."
Yeah.
And so this guy ends up coming over to the States after World War II, one of many Nazis, as we know.
Yeah.
And he actually started the first PR company in the world. You know,
Yeah.
corporatized it. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was Project Paperclip, right?
Yeah, was
They
part
all
of that.
came through. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then there's been a lot of emphasis, you know, as this whole transition into what people are calling the age of the Trinity, out of duality into the
Mhm.
Trinity, which these couples kind of personify, because when they come together, they create a third energy, which is very obvious with the two of you, and also the fluidity that you have in terms of what you work and what your work is and what you know. But the one of the other components is sacred sexuality, you know. And
Yeah.
we all know that the sexuality has been distorted and convoluted, and
Yeah.
you know, so many things are taboo and all that stuff. And of course, we think in terms of what we were taught or what's been put before us and all that. Have you noticed any change in your intimacy as this thing has progressed? You know, kind of like, i.e., you know, when you have your higher moments together, however that may be, does it open up downloads? Does it open up information, data, and things like that?
Well, I noticed that if we don't have intimacy for a while and we have like we're kind of disconnected, and it's like our thoughts are stagnant. And then I just noticed that. And then once we do, it's like I guess the release opens you up to receive, you know. It's a creative energy, of course, you know. It's there to create. And so it's positively, we need to do that. We need to be connected and create in that level. But also, like, I don't feel like we come to a place where we just don't want to have sex to have sex, you know. It's more of like there's a meaning behind it.
There is just like we're talking about the moon's energy and the sun's energy. Sexual energy is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And to have sex just to have sex is a complete waste.
Yeah.
It's like throwing in gold coins behind your back. You know, it's like you can use that. Like if you're both in line in manifesting something, even if it's something like money, right? You need money in your life. Everybody, you know, they need money. If it's more money that you need, you can come to an idea of a collective agreement together of manifesting more money. And through that release, that time of release, and you bring it to the forefront of your mind, right? You're amplifying that signal into the multiverse to manifest money. You can use that energy to heal yourself, to manifest. I mean, it's such a strong energy. So just to have meaningless, you know, getting off per se, it's kind of for us, it's kind of like.
And you know, for people who are single, who are just like out, you know, sleeping with whomever, you got to remember you're taking on that energetic, you know, pattern of that other person for the rest of your life. I wish I would have known that. I would have made a couple different decisions when I was young.
That's part of the journey.
Yeah,
it is part of the journey.
Yeah. So in essence, what you're saying is that when you're aligned and your intentions are pure, you know, intentions are from the heart. That you can kind of direct this energy to where this creative energy to where you want to. As opposed to a 5-pump dump. Excuse my French. Well, because that's like a finite thing, and I mean, I think everybody can relate to that. You know, it's like you know, if you are just doing it to get off, I mean, you know, it's it's very momentary.
Yeah.
Right.
Whatever
Exactly.
Until
ecstasy
the
you
next
have.
fix and the next fix and the next
Right.
fix.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
then
what, yeah.
once you have that real connection, it's like the rest of the week, the whatever, you know, the day, you're feeling that divinely connected to one another.
Yeah.
You're
Now,
sharing
last-
that energy all the time.
And it's good to have a shared goal as well, right? It's good. In the Bible, it says, you know, when two or more gather in my name, right?
Mhm.
What's thy name isn't the name of a person. Thy name is I am. So
Yeah.
when you gather in your name of I am, two or more, it becomes that much more powerful. And then you use that energy that's coming up from the root chakra all the way up into your crown chakra, and you're blasting it off into the universe to manifest, because we are
Transmitters and receivers.
transmitters and receivers, and we are big magnets. We're drawing to us, through our intentions, the realities that we want to experience. So when
And
we,
you guys are good, man. I'm digging it.
yeah,
Do
But you're drawn to even the realities you don't want to experience too. So keep that in mind.
yeah, you become what you think.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Hopefully we've figured this out by now. We're creating this thing. You know, it's one thing to be unconscious and have been creating it, but I think there's enough information out there now to know that
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
and we're getting a lot of help. I mean, when we look at like the lower planets, right, the 7 planets that are close to us, they're the ones that are really about us, right? But the planets on the outside, the constellations, these are collective expressions and experiences that change us collectively. And we are 100% in the age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is basically uncovering, and it's going to bring us into this whole new age of expression and experience collectively. And we're seeing the breaking down of the old paradigm, and then we're seeing each individual raising in consciousness and raising in capacity of energy. And what I mean by that is the 1600s. If you look at someone from the 1600s to now, right? So if you were to take me and put me in the 1600s, I'd be bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
You're stuck to this little town. You can't go very far because you have your horse. You know, you're stuck in a very small town, and your life is very
slow,
right? Where me today, I'm all about moving fast, energy on the computer, doing multiple things, which means if you take someone from the 1600 and put them into today and give them a phone and the computer,
oh my gosh,
it'd blow their minds. They'd be like, wait a second, I got to process too much information. I can't deal with this, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at my son can play a video game, watch YouTube at the same time.
Oh my God.
And you're talking like massive amount of data, of information going on here and going on here, and still being able to process that. Which what that shows is that we're raising in frequency, meaning we can attain more data. We can receive more data today. We're raising in vibration, which means we're ascending in consciousness. Because we're talking about moving into higher realms of reality. We have to be able to receive more data.
Yeah.
So what's going to start happening is the third eye is going to become decalcified. We're going to be able to start seeing beyond the visible light spectrum, which is a very small sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum. And then we're going to be able to really start tapping into other realms and other information. It's so much more vast than what we were able to do in the 1600s. So it shows we are ascending. We are
absolutely
as a whole world.
Yes, collectively.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Collectively.
Directed by the individual. You know, as the individual and I think that's why part of the awakening is getting over the underestimation of me, you know, of whoever the individual is, and and understanding that, you know, even in the smallest things we might think that we do, we're actually having it has repercussions,
ripple effect,
all the way out there. Absolutely. And I just forgot what I was going to ask you, but there was one other question on the sacred sexuality. Oh, so like if you guys one of you says, or both of you says, you know, we need it would be good for us to come into some money. We've got some good stuff to do with it, and so on. It's all in alignment. Do you actually talk about it before the next interlude? You know, sacred sexual intimacy or anything?
Yes.
You do talk about it. How do you do that? I'm just curious.
Well, there's been times where we talked about it and we've done a meditation and been with each other like that physically, with our energies just next to one another, and really focus on that, and then made love, and money has come. And there's other times where we just talk about it and we know we're going to visualize it while in in that union.
Yeah, there has to be a collective agreement between the two. So I mean, the way that we use our communication today is through words. Soon we're going to move into, you know, a couple of centuries, we're going to move into telepathy, and we'll be able to just pass up our information very quickly. But we're getting there now, like Jamie was saying before, like she's thinking the same thought I'm thinking, or vice versa. I mean, that's happening at small little levels, but pretty soon we're going to be, this information that we're receiving, like I'm saying, we're ascending, we're receiving more information. Those channels are going to open up to us where we can just communicate telepathically.
Can you achieve, or have you achieved the same type of result without the traditional stereotypical acts of intimacy? In other words, like you just talked about, you sometimes you meditate, you're close together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Meditation's by far the number one.
The number
one.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the things that are misunderstood about. I mean, Morgan and I, in you know, I mean, very plainly, I mean, we put our hands together every night, we lay down, we connect, and that's sacred sexuality.
Yeah.
Whether there's, you know, whether we remain on our back the whole time and fall asleep in that position, or, you know, to go to sleep. But it's a sacred practice. It's creates a sacred sexual energetic force, that third energy between us, and it's continued to you know, have consequences of manifestation and expansion and availability of, you know, information and code and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the things that people don't really understand yet. But I think it's obviously all of this stuff, to your point, Jayson, is the trajectory of it is what it is. I think the other thing that you said that was interesting too was the, you know, the reference to when we're young, and there's a lot of stuff written on this. I mean, you can go find it. The speed of information and the volume of information that we receive from the get-go, and then it starts, you know, it goes, and then traditionally, and then it starts to go down. But over the last few years, the information has been available. People got accustomed to it, and, you know, yes, these kids can just go you know, and do 2, 3, 4 things at one time. But I think it looks like overall that individually we're all getting there. You know, like we're all taking in more information and being able to process it and being able to align with it, and I think that's another big indicator of the direction that we're heading. So now you guys, I don't want to. Jayson's going to be on next week to discuss your free offering and whatever you want to talk about. But I wanted to ask you, because I mean, obviously, this is a really dynamic frequency that you guys put out there. This third energy has taken on, you know, a physicality. You know, and so I mean, how can people? Where can they go to find you? Anything that you've got coming up on your platform, or anything that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, you can find us at themastersoctave.org. That's our nonprofit organization. You can find us at thesoulsdream.com and jlayton.com. And we're going to be posting, like with the moon.
That'll be coming up very
ceremony.
soon.
We'll be doing the new moon and full moon every month, and we'll be posting that on the Masters Octave. And people can just go there, hop on the Zoom, and you can put your camera on and have a conversation, or turn your camera off and just follow along. And it's awesome. I love it, because what the new moon, it's all about, you know, bringing in what you want,
planting
seeds about what you desire. And what we do is we write down what it is we desire, and then we turn those desires into I am affirmations, and then we say those every single day. But what's interesting is each month the moon is in a specific location in the stars called constellations, which gives it a different flavor of energy. So you use those frequencies, those specific flavors, to add into your desires and to bring in what it is you desire.
And you can use the moon more than just on the new moon and full moon. You can use it in all phases because the moon is in a new sign every 2 days. So there's a new flavor every 2 days, and it's near planets or far away from planets. So it gives it different meaning and different energies. But if you're, you want to just, you missed a new moon and you want to get out there, be with the moon. Yeah, definitely talk to the moon.
Yeah, definitely.
More flavors than Baskin Robbins.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So, just on a personal note, just out of curiosity, how's the weather in New Jersey?
It's been beautiful, but it's cloudy.
It's a little
today.
cloudy outside.
But I mean, is it temperature wise? Is the cold gone for the year now? I mean, for the
pretty much, it's coming and going. So it's like 50,
it hasn't been below
70,
40s.
50, 70, 57. It's in between.
When's it gonna get to like 60 to 80?
Usually around May.
May? Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious.
April, May.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be heading different places in the not too distant future. I think I'm not really sure, but north would seem to be one of the options, one of the real options.
Well, definitely stop in by us. We'd love to have you. It'd be great.
Yeah, we'd have a blast together.
Oh yeah.
We'd probably all spontaneously combust. Do you guys ever do you ever find a noticeable difference or situation or anything when you do interact in the physical? I mean, in the physical presence of other couples that might be carrying the same type of code you are?
Yeah, I definitely feel everything become more intensified. The conversation, the passion between the conversations, the enjoyment to get to talk about stuff that you don't normally talk about with your other friends. I have friends all over the place, and I love every one of them I have stake relationships with. But when people are on the same wavelength and they can really share crazy stuff with each other and not feel ashamed or judged by each other, it definitely heightens the what would you say, the third energy that you create between. Anytime you bond and connect with somebody, you're creating that third energy. But how you're reacting to it?
It's so nice when you have somebody who's like-minded and you can really talk about what really engages your spirit, because a lot of times you have friends and it's just about the physical mundane world and they really don't want to know about anything else. And it's fun to hang out, it's a good time, but it's always nice when you have a couple that really are in tune, because then you can I feel like you can really be yourself. It's not fake talk. There's a lot of fake talk that you got to go through.
Yeah, I have a real problem with that.
Yeah, I know. I don't talk usually. I'll just hang out and just listen. I'll be there to listen, but I really don't talk very much. Unless
I'm the chatterbox.
She's the chatterbox. Yeah,
I love everybody.
I just hang out. I'm just there enjoying, and then when I find someone who's like-minded, I love to
right
share.
on.
It's like a peace, a calm when you're talking to each other too. It's not like you're trying to fight for space to speak either. It's just like this whole serenity comes about when you have these conversations. Like this is right now. It's so peaceful.
Yeah. Very easy. Very easy conversation.
Yes, it is. It is. It's good seeing y'all. Hope to see you soon. Jayson, I'll see you next week.
Yeah, next week.
And
I'm excited.
Jamie, just whatever you're doing, like they say, behind every good man is a great woman, right?
Yeah.
Right, that is the absolute truth.
Yeah, you guys are good on camera.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You
I guess
really are.
it's all her radiance kind of shining onto me.
Yeah, I know. I know that. I'm in the same boat. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, y'all take care. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Much love,
Bye.
brother.
Much love.
Much love.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Best to you and your family.
Yeah,
I see you as well.
You as well. Enjoy.